Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Reset to Healthier Relationships, Sunday nights at 9. I am Coach Glenda here with my course manager, Rufus Carpenter. We have created this format as a safe place to discuss trials, struggles, and victories in past and present relationships. This is not a one-size-fits-all open discussion. There is no topic too minor or major we cannot discuss. We encourage everyone to participate and speak their truth. This is a non-judgmental zone, so talk as much or as little as you would like. And before we kick off with tonight's topic, I'm going to allow Mr. Carpenter to introduce himself and tell you a little bit about his history and background.
Good evening, everybody. My name again is Rufus Carpenter, and I am so delighted to have you here. Hey, Dr. Johnson, welcome aboard tonight.
Good evening.
Good. You guys are awesome. We're just going to have a great time tonight. Tonight is part 2 of our continuation from last week. And my name again is Rufus Carpenter. I've come to this space a little different than most. My background started as a small child in Virginia of a family of 14, and our family was in a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, and it was interesting. Seemed like we never had enough, especially never had enough bathrooms, because 16 people, because my mother and father had made it 16 people in that 3-bedroom and 1-bathroom house. So if you had to share living quarters or bed with 3 or 4 of your siblings and one is occasional bedwetter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So the human connection was something that really was focused in my house because we all had to get along together. And as a matter of fact, that's part of tonight's thing, handling conflicts. Okay, so when you have that many brothers and sisters, you have a lot of conflicts to handle. So I'm an expert with what we're talking about tonight. So we're gonna have fun with that. My story didn't stop there. I was married 27 years to the same lady. If you're married 27 years, you learn things about trust. You learn the intricacies of communication, commitment. You learn to forgive. Most important, you learn compromise. These are the things not so much necessary for a successful relationship, but these are the things for understanding a deeper human connection. Okay, story didn't stop there. I joined the United States Army, and one of my jobs in the United States Army was considered a human relation and race relation leader, where I had the responsibility of working with any relationship or race problem within our units. And I had the responsibility of being the first one on the scene. And when I would go there, I would do what's called an intake. And I would find out what level of responsibility or resources we had to put at solving the relationship issue. So I'm well versed tonight. The framework of the night's conversation and the framework of Sunday Night at 9 is that you and 20 of your girlfriends are in your living room. And you guys are relaxed. Maybe someone has a drink of wine. You guys are talking about relationship issues. And you're really trying to sort some things out because in this day and time with this where modern relationships where anything goes, guys as well as ladies have a tremendous time navigating through that. So as you talk your truth tonight, we want to take the time to actually share some of the things you want to talk about relationships. Tonight, Glenda going to tell you the topic, but Glenda, I tell you what, can I go ahead and update us from last week since it's part 2 and go ahead and give us a review of last week so that way we can jump off running here. And what's the name of the topic, Glenda? Give us a topic and you give us a topic, then I'll give us a review from last week.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm letting a few people in.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'll go ahead and give the topic then. The topic is navigating conflicts, turning disputes into opportunities for growth at part 2. Okay, last week we talked about it, and last week we started with objective. The objective was to provide you some tools to effectively navigate conflict resolution. What are some tools you can do in a relationship? And we said there's 7 tools that you can use, and we only went through 2 last week. Out of the 7, we talked about active listening, where you take time to listen to your partner and you let your partner know that they're valued. You hear what they're saying. The next we talked about was empathy. You let your partner know that they're important, that you actually take time out, listen to them, and you let them know that you take their concerns very important. So this is the 2 we did last week. Now this week, we're going to try to do the rest of the 5. We get to a total of 7. So we're going to try to do the 5 this week. So we'll get through that with your help, because we want to end the night. We don't want to do a part 3. Now, if we need to do a part 3, we will, because this is one play area in our life where we had the most opportunities. It was with conflict. A lot of people avoid conflicts because they think they're going to lose something, lose someone, or they just don't know how to handle rejection or whatever. Tonight, the tools we're going to give you tonight are going to help you navigate conflict. Okay. Now, last week we gave you 2 scenarios. We talked about Shaniqua and Marcus, and where Marcus had forgot their anniversary. And guys, we do that. We forget anniversaries. And ladies, this is something near and dear to you because that was your day when you got married. That's the woman's day. So I know Marcus caught it, and we helped Marcus get through that. The second scenario we did last week was with Keisha and her sister Tanya. Keisha and her sister Tanya wanted to do something for the holiday season, but Tanya just went on and planned everything for Keisha. And Keisha was a little upset because she didn't have any input into it. And she didn't feel like she was important, and she didn't feel valued. And that's what we did last week. So last week we talked about 2 of the 7, which were empathy and active listening. And we talked about Marcus and his partner, Keisha. And we talked about the sisters. Okay. All right, Glenda, giving it to you.
Okay, thank you so much for starting us out. Wanted to go back. So Mr. Carpenter said that we talked about active listening and empathy first. So the next one on the list is pausing.
Well, first, see if anybody got any questions from last week, because some people might have worked through this week where they had an opportunity to use active listening or empathy in the conflict. Because I know I had a chance to use some of this week, so I don't know if some of our audience had a chance to use any of that, or our audience that may want to chime in and give us some of their thoughts from last week. Audience, so anybody, before Glenda take on our third tool, anybody want to talk about active listening and empathy and how they used it this last week? Okay, let me talk about something I talked about this week. This week I had to break up a relationship with someone. I had to tell someone that, hey, look, it's not working for me. It's not me, it's you. It's you, it's not me, kind of deal. But I had a chance to listen to somebody this week, and they told me their concerns, because friends are in this day and time, friends are all we have sometimes at the end of the day. And especially if you're single like me, you value your friends. And some friends are takers, which mean they always want what they can get from you versus trying to add value to your life. And you got some friends, a giver, that add value. I had some friends that I had, a friend that I had to let go this week. I had to say, hey, look, friend, this is not working. Maybe we shouldn't spend much time together, or if that kind of stuff. And I was surprised once I started actually listening to what my friend said, it made a difference. I thought one thing, they thought another thing, but once I began to listen, then I realized something. And that made a difference, just the active listening. And then I had the ability to be empathetic. I understood where they were coming from. It didn't change the outcome, but at least we understood. Both of us left with the understanding of what was needed and what was done. Okay? Go ahead, Glenda.
Okay. All right. So where we picked up from last week, the next category, or the next example of, let's see, navigating through conflict, we have pause before reacting. Sometimes you need to take a deep breath before responding to so you won't respond in anger. Sometimes when we're angry and we get some bad news, we just react instantly without taking in consideration, the other person's feelings. Even though you're trying to get what you're saying out in the open, the other person, may not be as, they may not like what you have to say. And then on top of that, you don't want to do anything in anger because it affects you after everything is said and done. So let's see, we have what you can do is count down to 5 or say, let me think about this before I respond. Also, we have an example is doing a heated discussion. Instead of snapping back, say, give me a minute to gather my thoughts. So that's another example of pausing before reacting. You want to breathe, give yourself a moment to breathe before you respond in angers to make sure you say everything, make sure you get all the valid and pertinent information out first. And then you may even want to count down to 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or even ask the person to give you a moment to get your thoughts together. So the next illustration that we have for tonight to help us get a better understanding, let's see here. We have.
While you find that illustration, let me tell you my shortcoming, my short version of pause before you react.
Okay.
I've known people to have what's called a hair trigger. Before you can finish what you're saying, they got all kind of answer. Oh no, he did. and they're a mile a minute. So I'm sure you've come in contact with those people. And a lot of times they react so fast, they're not even really addressing what you're talking about. They're somewhere left field, and you're here, and they just went off the handle with the thing. So always remember, like Linda said, take a moment, step back, listen to what the person said, and you listen with the idea that you want to understand what they're saying versus you're trying to come off with, hey, here's what I mean. You want to hear what they say first. You want to understand what they're saying before you begin to answer. Okay, Glenda, go ahead. What's your skills?
Okay. Not a problem. So our next illustration example is Tasha and Eric had been married for 10 years. They loved each other deeply, but often clashed over parenting styles. I can understand that one. Tasha wanted structure for their kids. Eric preferred a relaxed approach. So, with that being said, and with that particular example or scenario, what would be the best way for Tasha and Eric to try to, where's the medium between both of their parenting style? Because he wants a more relaxed style, she wants more structure. How could, Tasha and Eric deal with this scenario in regards to, let's say we're going to use the example pausing before reacting. Would anybody want to take a shot at it and tell me how would you handle this particular conflict between Eric and Tasha? Don't everybody
I
speak?
would think I would think when you pause and you get to see, is this something that happens a lot around a certain subject or a certain topic or a certain area in parenting? Is it a fact? Is it a school issue about the way the kids study or the time the kid have a way the child has away from school? Because some parents are very structured that once the child come home from school, before the child can do anything, the child has to do the homework and get the homework done. And then after they get the homework done, then they can, talk on the phone or see TV or play with the toys and that stuff. Where other parents give the child their flexibility to kind of manage their own time and to give the child a chance to do that. Is it the same? Is that the area that they have the most conflict? And if that's the case, then the parents need to get together and see, based on the child's study habits and based on the child's ability, which is the better route. Not so much whether it's the parent want to have a relaxed or a structured, which one suits the child the best. Because some children you have are very motivated kids, or they have the initiative and get it done. Some children procrastinate. No matter what you do, they're not going to get it done. So that's one way they could do that. Okay. Anybody want to suggest? Anybody else want to chime in on something like that with children, with raising children? How would you handle that? What works best in your family? Which works best? Because some of us have more than one child, where one child might be a self-motivated, another child might be a procrastinator, or maybe a little slow. How do you handle that?
Can I make a comment?
Yes,
Absolutely.
you can.
Looking at the parents, sometimes.
Okay.
Wait, hold up. Is that okay? So I think Annette's having a problem because she's been coming in and out several times. Annette, you there? Before you, and I'll get you back with you.
I'm here, but I wasn't trying to talk. I'm having technical difficulty. I'm getting it together.
I thought so because I saw you go in and out about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm sorry. Y'all continue on.
Go ahead, Dr. Johnson.
With the parents, sometimes it may have to go back to, excuse me, to how they were raised. Well, since the wife was more structured and the husband may not have been. So the conversation need to start between them and how they were structured, coming up with like going to school and what their parents did or did not do, to see how they can come together resolving that before they can even approach, their children issues.
So true. So true. Thanks for sharing that, Dr. Johnson. Anybody else want to comment on what Dr. Johnson said or comment on the topic at large? Okay, because my youngest, go ahead, Glenda.
No, I was going to ask, did anyone that's online want to tell us their parenting style that they have for their children?
I have 4 boys, and my youngest, Tyree, he he's a procrastinator. He's someone that I would have to get with him, and I would have to sit down with him, and we would actually sit down at the table and do the work together. And that's the way I had to do him with the other 2 of the other my 4 kids. They would go ahead and get it done because they didn't want to be bothered with me. They knew Dad would sit down with them. So they got it done so they wouldn't have to mess with Dad. So, and sometimes it's a child.
Okay. You were lucky and fortunate.
Hey.
Okay. So in this scenario, this particular scenario, one day Tasha realized the fighting wasn't solving anything. She suggested they learn how to communicate better, and Eric agreed. So it sounds like they agreed to disagree. Because one way works better for the other. One way works better than the other. So, I mean, I can get that, but I know that in my household, when my boys were with me, they were all over the place. So I preferred a structured environment for them so they could stay on task and accomplish a lot. But their father, he had the same idea as Eric. He wanted a relaxed structure. He wanted a relaxed environment when it came to parenting, so they could do their homework whenever. But moving right along this evening, we have the next area for conflict, navigating conflict. We have clarify and reframe. Ask a question to understand intentions and reframe disagreements. Mr. Carpenter, you want to elaborate on that one?
Yeah. What it is when you want to, before you, like, they're almost like that that pause before react, it's the same thing. When you clarify, you want to make sure you understand what's really going on. What you want to clarify. First, want to clarify, for instance, Glenn, if you told me, Rufus, I have an issue with you always wanting to be in charge. You always want to be in charge, and you never give me a chance to do anything. Okay. I would first I would have to clarify, what are you actually telling me? Are you telling me that I'm taking control, that you want more control, or you want us to do this thing together? Or is it that you just want me to back off and give you more space? So I'm gonna clarify, Glenda. Glenda, are you saying that you much rather let you start first and me just to back up and wait till you ask for my assistance? Or you want me to take the initiative or jump in? What are you really asking me? And then when I reframe it, I'm giving you what you're telling me back the way I understand it. And if I'm giving it back right, then you'll say, yeah, that's what I'm telling you. If I give it to you and I'm not giving it back where it's what you said, you get a chance to say, no, Rufus, that's not what I'm saying. Listen again. Here's what I'm saying. And that's where you want to clarify what is the real problem? What's the real issue? And then you want to reframe it so you will know that I understand what you're asking of me or what the conflict really is. And that's all that is.
Okay.
And that helps a lot. That clears it up. And it saves you time. Because you both realize what the problem is, and now you can begin to solve it.
Okay, that makes sense. I prefer asking a question and say yes or no. I don't need all the extra stuff in between. Just tell me yes or no. Okay.
Let's see if our audience got anything about that one, because that's a tricky one. Who has an example of that so we can make it a little clear? Who has an example of clarify and reframe? And that sounds like an Annette kind of question. That sounds like something Annette's expert with. Because Annette can clarify something right quick. Annette, you still there?
I am.
You want to share this one? Because this sounds like you for the world.
Well, yeah, because I do get to the point, because I realize that I hear something, and when I hear it and it hits me hard, I'm ready to attack all the time. That's just me. I'm just always in attack mode. And when I hear it, I'm looking at you and I'm realizing my response might not be really ready what you're ready to hear right now. So before I give you my response, I'm going to try to clarify with you. What did you really say? Did you say this? Well, I'm saying that to you, so I want to make certain that you meant what I think you said. And then if you did, then I know, okay, it's all right to attack. So then I'm going to attack. That's okay. That's what
you just want to make sure you heard them correctly before you attack.
Yeah, that's what I want to do, because
I've been in a couple of those scenarios, so yeah.
So that's why I try to, and this is a learned lesson. I have learned this. I have learned to do that, because I have attacked first, and they go, wait, I didn't mean that. Well, I thought you did. So I have learned now to let's just get clarity, and then I'll know how to respond.
I know that's right. You were the right person to ask to speak up.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were. Trust me. But I've been in a couple of those scenarios, and I'm like, can you say that one more time?
Hey, I had to be like LL Cool J. I had to clear my throat on that one.
Oh, I say Annette is a no nonsense type of gal. Okay. So we had our example for clarify and reframe. And let's see. Now, in regards to that, I think, the example that Mr. Carpenter as well as Annette gave us, they were pretty realistic examples. So we're going to keep it moving. So the next one is focus on the issue, not the person.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yes. Avoid blame and concentrate on solving the problem. Usually you should, well, most of the time you should use I statements because it's not like you're pointing finger at anyone. I feel hurt when this happens instead of you always do this. So with that being said, do anyone want to give feedback on focus on the issue and not the person?
This is Annette again. I want to say truly, Sunday night at 9 has really helped me. It has helped me uh, uh, bring back my forcefulness. It has helped me to stop and just say, hold up, this person, I need to stop because I'm learning to just clarify and not be so forceful. So actually Sunday night at 9 has helped me with that type of thing. So in this incident, I can say that truly, like I said, my instinct, my first thing is to attack. That's just bottom line. I'm one of Rufus Carpenter's sisters, and I grew up fighting Rufus. So I'm just gonna tell you, it's in me. So it's there. But I have learned, and I do realize that it does make a difference to first find out what's the situation and hold myself in, and really I swallow a lot, and then I try to say, okay, I can see your point, or let me see what you're trying to say. That's it.
Well said, well said. Anyone else want to provide any comments or feedback?
A lot of times, especially if you don't like the person, if you don't like the person anyway, no matter what they say, they're gonna be wrong.
Sure.
So a lot of times you have to realize it's what was said, not so much the person.
Right. So let's see, what else do we have here? We have an example. Say, I feel unheard when plans change without discussing it, rather than you never care about my time. I guess, sometimes they say they feel unheard when plans change without discussing it. So that means that someone is taking control of everything without discussing it with the other party. So with that being said, you never care about their personal time. It's like you didn't take their opinion into consideration. But it sounds like the person is more in self opposed to, focus on the issue, which is making the plans without discussing it beforehand. So we're going to move right along. We are on number 6 out of the 7 categories here. We have collaborate on solutions. So that means working together to find a win-win solution. Because I know I'm big on, I just agree to disagree, and I just shut down. I tap out the conversation because I always think I'm right. But how we so how we do this is
No, she did.
in most of my, arguments, I am right. Come on now. How you do this is as how can we solve this together? So I'm gonna have to take my own, take my own advice and try to apply this to my everyday life. I'll give you all a follow-up next Sunday. So if budgeting causes stress, create a plan that both of you contribute to and agree on. Now that's a big thing, especially when it comes to finances. I know that in some well, I'm big on marriages because I find it hard for a girlfriend and boyfriend to have, issues with bills because somebody is always coming up short. But in a marriage, when you think about it, you have to have a plan when it comes to budgeting because one may be a spender and the other one might be a little more frugal or conservative with the finances. So the one that stresses out about, oh, I think you spent too much money on that bed, that bedroom set you just bought a week ago, maybe y'all should discuss, in what price range are we looking to buy a new bed, a bedroom suit? that should be discussed first before anybody goes out and goes shopping, because you never know. You come back home with a $10,000 bedroom suit, and the other party is like, "Oh, wait a minute, hold up, who paying for that?"
$10,000. They're gonna
Right,
say.
$10,000. We're not the Obamas or Trumps, so who paying $10,000? But if like the example says, if budgeting is a stress, create a plan that both of you can contribute to and agree on, like who pays the bill, who's going to be responsible for this, how much are you gonna, if you have a joint account and you have separate accounts, get each other's feedback before, just, making one person making all of the choices. So does anybody online have a example of collaboration on solutions and in this particular scenario? How you and your partner can work together to solve an issue that may arise?
Before we get to that, let's back this up a little bit, because that part, when you first explained this, when you said look to work to do a win-win solution,
Correct.
when you said work to do a win-win solution, let's talk about that. Because a lot of people nowadays, for some reason, I'm finding out more people looking for win themselves, not win-win in a relationship. They're looking for win themselves. A lot of people, a lot of people have been taught to be selfish, and they look for their win, not your win or not the group's win. They look for their win because they feel that they have responsibility for taking care of themselves. They have a responsibility to make sure they win in all situations, whether it's relationships, whether it's finance, whether it's in budgeting, whether it's in sports, whether it's playing cards, games, or whatever. Their mode is win at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
Relationships are that way, win at all costs. I've been in relationships where the lady just, no matter what, she's gonna win at all costs. And you be saying, "Wait, hold up, baby. I'm in it with you, and hey, I want you to feel special. I want you to be number one. I want you to feel like you're my queen, and I want you to feel like everything I do is for you. But in order for me to be this your king, and in order for this thing to work, we both got to win in this relationship. It can't be one-sided.
Right.
It's got to be a win-win, not a win-loss."
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, ladies as well as men, they want to win themselves. They're looking for their win, not the group's win. For instance, it's where now it's customary that the guy, when a woman and a man go out, the guy pays for the gets the tab or gets a ticket and pay. But now, if a lady invites you out, do she pick up the tab? Or do the man pick up the tab? The lady invites you out. I mean, help me, audience. Help me work through this, audience. Help me work through what win-win is in relationships. What's a win-win in a relationship? Because if the man always pays, is there a time where the lady pays? Hey, look, baby, I got you this time, and you've paid for the last 10 times we went out. I got you tonight. Is that feasible or not feasible?
I think if a lady invites you out specifically, she's willing and she's expecting to handle the tab. But under other conditions, she's not. So I think when she steps up and say, "Hey, I want to do this for you," or "I want to do this for us," or "I'm going to take us," or "I'm going to do this with us," she's handling that. She's bossing up. But under other conditions, she's not. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Anybody got any other comments?
Yeah, what is other conditions?
Okay, I think that's correct. And what's other conditions?
Other conditions would be when she doesn't say, "Hey, let's do this." When she say, "I'm going," when you invite her, or when you say, "Let's do this," or whatever. She's only bossing up, or she's only stepping up, in my mind, when she says, "This is what I want us to do, and I got you." You don't hear those terms, you better expect to be paying.
Did that answer the question for you, Mr. Mr. King?
Wow, he can't get my name right. But anyway, yes, it did.
I ain't supposed to know you. That's why I got my name right. I know you both.
Well, me personally, I feel that I'm from the old school. So naturally, we go out, I'm going to pick up the tab. But every now and then, it's good to have someone else, a companion, to suggest picking up the bill. That's what you call working together.
I agree.
Bo, what's a win-win in a relationship, Bo? What would be a win-win? Because this is the night we're talking about navigating conflicts, turning disputes into opportunities of growth. What's you consider win-win in a relationship?
Give me a little more background on what you're.
Okay, for instance, let's say you dating or married, whatever. You're dating or married, and in a typical 6 months, typical year of being with someone, whether it's a wife, whether it's a girlfriend, how would you consider win-win in that relationship? Well, I'm not looking for equal. I'm not saying everybody's equal. I'm not. That's not what I'm asking you. What I'm asking you is, if you're in a relationship with someone, and your term, what's win-win? If it's a boy and girl relationship, when you guys are deciding, where you go out, what the entertainment looks like, what the travel looks like for the pair. If you're married, what does win-win in a marriage looks like?
Well, I don't know about answering that specific question,
Mm-hmm.
but I will give you my opinion on a marriage or a relationship. And what that is, one, having the proper and the right communication. If you got the right communication and you all are communicating together, then that's a win-win, because I might decide and pick all the time, then she'll step up and pick sometime, or I might decide we're going to go to a certain spot for his vacation. She'll, in turn, we'll have that communication where we share it. That's the win-win, is when you communicate, because now you're allowed to share. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
It's
And
not
this is a marriage.
one-sided.
This is a marriage, or this is in a
It's
boyfriend
both.
girlfriend situation,
It's
or both.
both.
Okay.
Because people fail to realize when you're in a relationship, it is a marriage without a license. When you're in a serious relationship, that's why a lot of people, older people, get upset, because you're in a marriage without not benefits, but security.
Mm-hmm.
You got people together in a relationship who's shacking up, staying together, doing everything that the marriage couple is doing, having kids, the whole nine. So you can't distinguish or separate the two, because it's basically the same thing. Once you commit yourself to someone and they commit themselves to you, then they're in a marriage. It's just not legal.
Right.
Only thing marriage does is just legalize it. And that way you get benefits and you get security from it. Case at point, if you're in a relationship, the only difference in not being legal is if something happens to your companion, you're not secured to get benefits from it. You just ass out, as they say. Oh, I'm sorry. You just out.
You good. You good.
Whereas if you're in a marriage and a legal document is legal, something happened to your companion, you get benefits from it. You get security from it. You're not still in it alone. That's the only difference between the two. So I'm not distinguishing a marriage or a relationship. That communication is something you got to have to make it work.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. You opened the door. Let's put it this way. You opened the door. You opened the door right now. Let's see if we get somebody else to swing that door wider, or either bring it in some. Any of our audience want to comment on what Mr. Kingdom just said? Any thoughts from the audience? Everybody got quiet on us, huh?
It's okay to call me both. I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right. Okay. But what Bo said something that my ears got this big, because he said if you're in a relationship and you're exclusive, you're already married. That and that goes back to that one where Glenda said clarity and reframe. If me, let's say me and Glenda in a relationship, and Glenda think like both things, that we're married, we're in a relationship, we're married.
Okay, let me intervene for 1 second.
Okay, go ahead.
Where we get things mixed up and construed at, we confuse the two, the relationship with dating. That's two different entities. Dating is not necessarily meaning a relationship. A relationship is different. So if you can distinguish the difference between dating and a relationship, then you can understand what I meant when I said a marriage and relationship is the same, except one is not legal.
Okay, now that you swung the door and door slamming back.
No, I'm not slamming it back. I'm keeping it open.
Yeah,
because a lot of people don't understand the difference. See, when you're dating, you have no commitment. There is no commitment in it involved, because that's the word dating. That means you're allowed to date anyone. But now if you're in a relationship, that separates in a whole nother ball game. A relationship is same as being married because you're committed. That's the difference.
Never looked at it that way.
Okay, now he didn't got two questions here. One question, he said dating is no commitment. I think majority of ladies on this line might have some concern with that one, Bo. You and I might be fine with it, but I don't think the majority of ladies on the line is fine with it.
Okay, tell me what's the difference then, or show me where it's the same then, because a relationship is like a marriage. It's commitment. I'm not going to be saying dating, because if you say we just dating, that's saying you open to date anybody then.
Oh, I think this is getting deeper and deeper.
No, it's not getting deeper. It's still the same.
Ladies, help me out, ladies, because I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut here. This one, I'm keeping my mouth shut in this part. But ladies, somebody other than Glenda, will you comment on what he just said?
This is one of the nights we need Angela on the line.
No,
yeah.
we got some people. We got Dr. Johnson, we got Fire Tablet, we got Gigi, we got Annette, we got Ava. Somebody want to help us out.
I look at what he said as far as the way he's expressing it is, when you're dating, it's like you're not with that significant partner that you just want to continue on with forever. You're just jumping the ship. You're going to this one, that one, and back and forth wherever you want to be without any strings attached, or you have an understanding that, hey, I'm just seeing you for the moment, or I'm just seeing you for the night, or we got a one night stand. This is it. Maybe I'll see you another night next week or next year, whatever. It's all fine. What you do and what I do, we have no attachments whatsoever. We just hitting it and keeping on going, doing whatever we're doing. Relationship is, I'm with you, you're with me, we're partnered up. And although we're not married, but we pretty much are exclusive with each other. We're not looking for each other to be out with someone else. We're building together our feelings, our whatever. Although we're not legally married by law, but we're acting as if we are. We have that aurora or whatever in our relationship. I believe that's what he's saying.
Okay, but Annette, you kind of said first you started out, you kind of gave the impression that you didn't quite agree with that. Then at the end, you start almost as if you agreed with it. So you got me kind of mixed up here a little bit.
No. What I'm saying is I understand what he's saying as far as dating and relationship. I understand. And I can agree with that. Because if I'm just dating you, or we're just dating each other, and we're not exclusive with each other, that means that, hey, if I see you out tomorrow with somebody, there's no problem about that. I can see you tomorrow with somebody and then be with you the next day, and it's all good. But if we're in a relationship and I see you out tomorrow with somebody, it's on.
It's a problem.
We ready. We in the arena now. So
right,
that's the difference. That's what he's saying. That's what I think he's saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying, because everything is worked in steps. Everything works in steps. You have to start dating to work your way up to a relationship, which works your way up to a marriage. You can't just jump into a marriage. Well, you can too. I take that back. You can jump into a marriage because there's love at first sight, where it'd be like, hey, I don't know you, and just go and get married. There's people that get married in 1 or 2 months. So yeah, you can do that. But yet, normally, when I meet a person, you got to date a person to get to know that person. Once you get to know that person, now you want to go to the next level, which is the relationship, because now you committed to that person. And once you committed, then it's like you're married now, because I'm committed. I ain't going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere. And when you get a relationship nowadays with the younger generations, when they commit to each other and take that ship aboard or get aboard that ship, they're moving in together. Ain't no you staying over here, I'm staying over here. So now you pretending and playing marriage. That's how that works. Unless somebody can tell me something different.
I don't think Annette and me are the only ones that have opinions about this. Can anyone else chime in on this, and we can see where we are with this? Anybody else want to share their opinion? Because if nobody's sharing an opinion, here's why I say that. Because when people say when somebody say me and them are dating, they're saying, hey, it's just me and them. They're not giving me in the room or allowing in the room to date anybody else. They're saying this is us. And maybe they have the wrong term for the wrong thing. But
maybe they need to look up the definitions of dating and relationships.
Because the majority of the people I dated, they're saying we're only dating exclusively.
Well, when they say I'm only dating you, then prove it. Commit yourself to them. Because until you make a commitment, you ain't in no relationship. You just dating, which means now I'm allowed to date whoever I want. You're allowed to date who you want, because you ain't in no committed relationship. Unless somebody can tell me something different, I might be lost. Find me. Let me find myself.
All right, Glenda, I think you can talk now, because your eyes tell me you got some opinions here. I was holding you to the last part. Now go sick 'em.
Well, I can say in the past, I'll say 30 to 90 days, people, I've heard quite a few stories about I would consider a silly woman's mentality. When there are some women that think if they are dating someone that is exclusive, but in my personal opinion, it's really not, because if it hasn't been established up front in the beginning of your relationship or your situationship, how can you think that you're going to be the only one? Especially if you do drive-bys. The only time you want to call or come by is after 9 o'clock at night. That I don't see where that is exclusive or really that is actually just dating. You know, you're pretty much open to date whoever you want to, especially based off of the other party's behavior. If they're only driving through or seeing you after 9 o'clock at night, I find it hard to believe that you really thought as a woman that you were the only one this man has been messing with. So, but when Mr. Kingdom was talking about the relationship, usually in relationships, something is established up front. Usually, that's where that being clear and concise comes in. Look, you're not sleeping with nobody else, and I ain't sleeping with. I like to keep it plain and basic, so even a remedial person can understand. What are we together? I ask all the basic questions because I need to know where we stand. Because if you're thinking that, okay, I can date her or be in a so-called relationship with her and still see Mary Sue or Jane down the road, see, then we got a problem. But when you talk about stuff up front, you get clarity about where you stand in your relationship. Because like you said, if you're dating, you can see pretty much anybody you want to. But that has to be established up front, in my personal opinion.
And
Well,
and that's
you and
good. And that's
I got it.
clarity. That's clarity and reframe. You're getting
That's
Yeah,
where
but
clarity in
that
your
still,
community
framing.
that goes back to your initial question you asked me. Okay, that goes back to the initial question. And I explained that communication.
Mhm.
You understand?
Yes.
Having the right communication and the understanding between the two, you understand the difference between dating and relationship. If you and I are dating, we go out to this nice restaurant, we're eating, what have you. If someone else comes up while you at a date, a friend from high school or whatever, you get up and give them a hug. I would say an inappropriate, which is not a church hug. And that other person get an attitude, get upset about that type of hug you gave, then you need to sit down and ask one question. What are we doing? Are we dating or are we in a relationship? Because if you're dating, ain't nothing you can say. You shouldn't get no attitude or nothing. But if you're in a relationship, that person give a inappropriate hug, then you have all the rights in the world to be upset as if you was married.
mm-hmm.
You see the difference?
Yeah, I see the difference. You taught me something tonight.
What I taught you.
The difference between dating and a relationship.
Yeah, because see, it's a title. It's a
Right.
title there. And when you get, I use that example right there to show you the difference between a relationship and dating. Hold on one second, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay. That's why you got to be open and honest up
While,
front.
while we're holding on to him, let's do number 7.
Okay, I'm back. I'm
Okay,
back. I'm back.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
All right. No, you good. You good. I was going to
That's
do
what I was
7.
trying to get you to distinguish the difference between dating and relationship. See, with that title, dating is broad and it's left open. Relationship is a full completed circle with no openings.
Right.
If I'm in a relationship, just as if I'm in a marriage, and somebody do something inappropriate, or I go and be with somebody else, ain't no ifs and buts about it. I'm cheating.
Correct.
If I'm just dating, or our title is we just dating, then there's free reign. I'm allowed to be with someone else, and it's not cheating because that protocol is not established. When you're in a relationship, you got communication, or you're supposed to have communication and understanding. When you're dating, it's a toss-up whether you got that communication or not, because it's still free game.
Right.
Bo, you finally answered my what's win-win.
Well, that's what I told you. It goes
Yeah,
back to your initial question.
yeah, that you did. That's why I told you finally got back to answering the win-win. So with that, with what you said, boy, I appreciate your comments. You did bring us full circle. So you did get that. And we're right at 9:55, so we're about ready to reel this on in. Glenda, you want to share your screen? Because Glenda, while Glenda's preparing to share her screen, because her book just dropped, and she wanted to share that with the audience. So she's going to share her screen about the book. But while she's doing that, I'll do the last thing we have to have, what's called check-in. The last thing we have is check-in, where you go back, like Bo said, you go back and you have those conversations, the communication with your partner to make sure that the conflicts don't pile up. And when you go back and talk to your partner, then you can take care of things as they come. So that's very, very important. So as Glenda's getting her thing together, I'm going to talk about quick review. This is part 2 of our navigating conflicts, turning disputes into opportunities for growth. Last week we talked about the first part. This week we talked about the second part. Now, the tools we gave you 7 tools. The first tool was active listening. The second tool, empathy. Third tool was pause before reacting. The fourth was clarify and reframe. The fifth was focus on the issue, not the person. And 6 was collaborate for a solution. And the last one, check in regularly. Check in means you go back and you make sure that the conflicts don't pile up. You don't want to wait till you're about ready to get rid of your partner before you come back and say, last month you did this, last week you did that. You want to take it one dispute at a time. Okay. What Glenda's showing now, she's showing her book. Her book is Rise Again, Empowering Black Women to Thrive Beyond Relationships. And it tells her story, her transitional story, how she came to Georgia as a mother with a child from a 7-year marriage. It took her 18 years to get on her feet. And she talks about, that whole story is reset. It talks about the reset, her reset family. And this she's showing right here. And the way you get to look at this book, it's on Facebook, and the page is called Reset. The page is Rise Again. It's on Facebook. So all you got to do is just look at it on Facebook, and it talks about her book. Hey, Glenda, go down. There you go. And it shows her book. Go just scroll through it. It's an interesting book. It takes you about an hour to 2 hours to read it. And it talks about, if you have been in reset throughout the last 4 or 5 months, it talks about some of the things we talked about there. Glenda give you some very practical exercises. It's an awesome book, her first book, and we want to help her celebrate that. All right. Anybody got any questions or anything we talked about tonight, or anybody got anything they want to share before we sign off? If no one have anything, we want to thank everybody for being online tonight. I see Dr. Johnson, I see Fire Tablet, I see Gigi, I see Annette, I see Ava, and I see Ronald Kingdom. We call them Bo Kingdom. We just call them Bo. And Bo, we appreciate your comments tonight. You brought a lot to the table, so thank you. Please don't be a stranger, because this is mostly women here, but we need that male voice to make a difference. I've been fighting me and a guy named Andre been fighting a lone fight. So if you come on board to help us out, because these women sometimes can wear us down, brother. So be a part of this. Glenda, anything you want to say before we close out?
No, just, thanks for everybody, as always, for sacrificing their Sunday nights to spend with Reset. And I hope everyone have a very productive week next week. And until I see you the next time, have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Good night, everybody.
Well, hey, hold up. I want to wish everybody a happy holidays.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.